Hi, this is Alan with part 2 of the video on the use of our contract to close calendar in Excel. In the first video, what we did was save the calendar to our system, called it up, entered in data and dates for a particular transaction, and then saved that as a custom calendar in our buyer's client file. So now what we're going to do is get into editing that file and saving it in such a way that we can either print it or share it with others. So to do that, let's go down here into our documents, and we will call up that client file for Jane. In my case, we're in Florida Real Estate, Clients and Prospects, Buyers, and now we look for Jane. And there she is, and there is her calendar. So here we go. The calendar is exactly as we left it the last time. Effective date May 11th, closing date June 22nd. So now let's say that since you first did this and plugged in these major milestones, you thought maybe we better put in some of the smaller stepping stones as well so that nobody forgets, and particularly that Jane knows what's going on. So let's put in here the loan application. We're never going to get approval unless we get an app. So we had said that that would happen 3 days after the effective date. Let's also put in a tickler here that we need to, or Jane needs to, interview some inspectors, chat with them and decide who she wants to use, and then let us know so that we can schedule an inspection. Okay, so let's say that's it for this first part of it, but as we get closer to the end, let's say we want to make sure that Jane is aware that she's going to have to do something about insurance. So let's say here a couple of weeks before the closing date, we're going to make a note here about insurance, that she's going to need to talk to insurance agents and arrange to get a binder on the property. And we'll do that well in advance. Also, let's say we want to make sure that she is aware and takes action on getting the utilities turned over into her name and accounts set up. So okay, we've got some smaller stepping stones in here, and you can put in as many as you want, as many as you feel you need to have Jane following along step by step with you and knowing exactly what is coming up and exactly what she needs to do. So let's say we're done. Now we can save this, and here in this case, unlike before, we want to override the older file. So we've called up contract to close calendar 123 main. So this is Jane's calendar, and what we want to do is just simply click the save button, because we want to override that one. We want all these new things to be showing on the calendar. So we could share this file exactly as it is. We could print this file exactly as it is. The problem with that is twofold. One, it's got the whole year, and anybody looking at it will have to scroll through the entire year to get to the area that we're talking about. Very cumbersome, and it's not conducive to having Jane have that sitting right at the top of her desk and looking at it on a daily basis. The other problem, of course, is that it's Excel, and Jane may not be able to use Excel. So what we want to do is either print this as a hard copy and give it to Jane, or print it as an electronic copy and email it to Jane. And I definitely suggest either the latter or both, not just the first. So what we're going to do, and one of the beauties of Excel, is that while this is a 12-month long calendar, we can just highlight the portion of it that we want to print. And that's very simply, I'm going to go over here and click on the area I want to have print. Our actual calendar really starts here, but I'm going to go up 1 week ahead because I want to have the word May at the beginning of it so everybody's clear what month we're in here. And this is just simply a click and drag, and I go down to the end of our period here, and you can see as I'm doing that, it's turning gray. And that is now the highlighted area that I want to print. Next step, very simple, we need to tell Excel and the computer that that's the area that we want to have as our print area. So to do that, we go back up to this page layout tab. So wherever you may be, just click on that page layout tab, and in this case we want to go down here to print area. So when I hover over this, you can say make a specific area of the sheet for printing. So what we do here is click on it, and you see we've got two options. We can set the print area. So that's what I want to do now. I want to make sure that the computer knows that this is the area that we want to print. And that's just dandy. Now, suppose that we had something go wrong along the way and we needed to extend the closing by a week. So simply what we would do is change that. We'd edit the calendar and change that so that our closing is now a week later. We'd go up to print area again. We'd clear the print area. So that's what this other button is for. We'd clear the print area, then go back to our calendar, highlight the area that we want to include, running it down a week later, and then hitting set print area again. So for now, we've got this set as our print area. In the last video, we put in Jane's custom title on this thing. So if we take a look at this just by going to print preview, this is what we'll get. So there's Jane's calendar, Jane Jones 123 Main Street, and it's got all of the various and sundry dates that we put in. And we'll get out of that. And if you wanted to, you could now simply go to File, Print, and make a hard copy of this or an electronic copy. Now, in order to make an electronic copy, what you're going to need is some sort of a PDF maker. There are a number of them out there. You may have one installed on your system already. I use one called Primo PDF, and I use it because it is good, it's simple to use, and it's free. So what I'm going to do is use that. Now, Primo PDF, once it's installed, sits as a printer on my computer. So I'm going to go to Print, and you can see I've got a bunch of different printers here, but Primo PDF is the one that I want to use. So I just click on OK, and it will bring up a little screen here where I can save this and then create the PDF. It always takes a minute. I'm not sure why. But here we go. So what I need to do is go in here, Save As, and it will bring me to my files. And in this case, it's Jane Jones here. It brought me back to Jane's folder. And so what I want to do is simply say yes, because it's brought me up the same name that I had on the Excel sheet, only now it's stipulating that it's going to be a PDF file. So I'm going to save that. And then the only other thing we need to do is, once we've got that saved, we need to hit this button called Create PDF. And there we go. So we've got a couple of pages here that snatch Jane's relevant dates out from the 12-month calendar and give us the opportunity to give her those 2 pages and concisely summarize everything that's going on. So now we can print this or we can share this. Let's get rid of Excel because we don't need that anymore, and we'll close this one out. So in order to save it, it's simply going to Email, New Email, Jane Jones, and then we're going to put in, let's put in Calendar here, and attach the file. So we click the Attach button, and we're back in Jane's folder because that's where we last were, so it kind of brought us there. And what we want to do is share this. Now, be careful, we don't want to share the Excel file because that's the one that's going to be cumbersome. What we want to do is share the Adobe file, which is what this is, a PDF. So we just double click on that, brings it right in, and just to be sure, there it is, that's what we're sharing. We hit send, and off it goes to Jane. And what I will often do, typically do, is send this also, different email, to the listing agent so that everybody involved in the transaction knows what the dates are that we're working toward. And in that email, I'll simply say, this is what we're working at. If you've got any questions, any problems with any of these dates, let us know now, because this is what our timetable is. Alright, so that's pretty much it. Again, if you have any questions on this, I'm happy to answer them. Just give me a call anytime. Thanks so much.